The game we are about to cover is a shoot 'em up. Can you believe it? A shooter on the TurboGrafx? What? Okay, you're seeing right through my sarcasm, so let's move on. Published by IGS, Cybercore is a one-player insect-inspired vertical shooter released on the TurboGrafx and the Sharp X68000 computer. In this one, giant hyper-insects have taken control of Earth, and the United Force elects you, Rad Ralph, to face them. But your only chance to win this battle is to merge with the half-man, half-insect Chimera to gain enough power to fight back. You will begin this 8-stage quest as a Cybercore, the lowest level of half-man, half-insect. You begin with a simple weapon and can bomb the ground, which is good as some enemies cannot be picked off in the air. Flipping the turbo switches up will increase the speed of the auto-fire. However, all that firepower on screen can get distracting, so it's often best to alternate buttons back and forth. Collecting power-up items along the way will give you the ability to transform and increase power. Destroyed enemies leave behind 4 different types of radioactive eggs for you to collect, and morphing occurs through 4 different stages. In order to achieve the next level and increase your shield, you must collect the appropriate egg for your insect type. In other words, the same color. Each weapon has a different range and type. Red eventually fires rings, blue spews little pinwheels, green creates a boomerang effect, and yellow is simple, straight-ahead laser fire. The only drawback to upgrading is that sometimes your hitbox becomes a tad too large. Wow, my fat ass is screwed. You remain powered up until your shield is completely down. Then you shrink back a few steps unless you can snag a power-up before ultimate destruction. I will give this game credit as the power-up system is a bit involved. This can be a downfall as you desperately try to find the same color in a tense situation. Ugh! Other power-up eggs can be collected, including the eggs of protection, increasing your shield, eggs of invigoration for short-term invincibility, eggs of destruction for a screen-clearing bomb, and eggs of replication for 1-ups. Extra lives can also be had at specific score levels. Each of the game's 8 stages play out in typical shooter fashion, with enemies flying all about and a boss waiting for you at the end. Some enemies will stay on the ground and can be bombed when close, others will spring to life and attack. Some just spaz out. Jeez, calm down. The variety of enemy patterns is nice, if a bit erratic at times. When Rad Ralph goes down in a fiery explosion of explosiveness, he gets bumped back in the stage. I found the checkpoints to be pretty fair, with power-ups not too far away. After all lives are extinguished, a continue option will appear on the main screen, but only a couple of times. While very typical in TurboGrafx games, the colors in Cybercore have always been very pleasing to me. The landscapes look pretty good, but do lean into that uninspired category once in a while. Some enemies are very large, and not just the bosses, with a lot of really great detail. Your firepower blends into enemy fire a bit too much, and the game could have used a few eye-catching graphical touches. But overall, Cybercore is a nice-looking shooter, staying close to its insect-like roots. The sounds are a bit average, not bad, but not great. You got your simple explosions, you got your shooting effects, you got that noise. Ugh, calm down. The music, however, is really good, and I find myself humming a few tunes after playing the game. The controls are excellent. Rad Ralph moves around the screen sharply with the control pad. Firing the main weapon with button 2 or bombing the ground with button 1 is a breeze. You can change the speed of Mr. Ralph by hitting select up to 3 different levels. Cybercore is a bit of a tease, disguising itself as extremely easy in the first 5 stages, a cakewalk for any shooter fan. Then all of a sudden, bam! The last couple stages are a workout, and you'll notice a fast ramp up in difficulty. In fact, the final stage is a bit nuts and will frustrate quite a bit. These little blue things? Oh, don't get me started on these little blue things. These later levels might turn off some non-shooter fans with an explosion of difficulty somewhat out of nowhere. Much of the later stages are about correct placement of the character on screen versus just firing away. With that said, I still end up beating Cybercore in one playthrough every time. So this also can mean some will find the game very easy, with not too much else involved beyond its traditional 8 stages. There's no multiplayer or Caravan mode, but there is an options screen for some passwords that allow you to tweak a few things. Oh my god, enough already! Man, he bugs me. Bugs me. Cybercore, with its insecty feel, separates it from a lot of traditional space shooters. It's a little imbalanced in those later levels, but I have always found it to be a fun playthrough. It looks good, sounds good, has fun bosses and enemy battles, so it's a good game. Being half man, half insect has never been so fun.